Welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast.
Here's a sneak peek into what we're going to cover in this week's episode of the Echo Tips Podcast.
You'd like to delete the recordings of everything said to me today, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll delete them.
Hello, and welcome back to the Echo Tips Podcast. As you could tell from our prelude today, or maybe not tell, we're going to be dealing with an issue, a topic that comes up from time to time and has been recently in the media, especially connected with Amazon Echoes, other types of smart devices people might have in their homes, and that is connected with privacy. Yes, that is right. The big P word, privacy. So ideas surrounding the Echo that come up from time to time again with people maybe are unfamiliar with the technology. Is the Echo recording everything I say and sending it and selling it back to other people? These ideas. We're going to tackle specifically what the Amazon Echo does record, where to find out what it records, how to purge what it records, both inside the app and get a very, very hands-on approach to exactly what's going on. And then lastly, even how you can verbally command your Echo to delete certain things. So we'd like to welcome our new listeners to the podcast. Welcome. I'm your host, David Ward. I'm an assistive technology instructor with the New Vision program at Goodwill, based here in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Southwest Virginia. And it's good to have you with us today. And you'll find our podcasts are little nuggetized episodes. We try to keep them 5 to 15 minutes long. I go long sometimes. These last couple episodes about AI smarts and some of the new things coming to the Echo are really exciting. So if you haven't heard those, by all means, go back and check those out. But you'll find from a subject matter perspective, our past 5 seasons and now our 6th season, we cover all sorts of stuff. New hardware releases, new equipment. We cover apps and skills, if you will, that are on the Amazon Echo, from games to practical tools, home automation, things for kids, things for parents, things for caregivers, things for senior citizens, home automation, just all sorts of stuff. So by all means, go back and check our back catalog out at some point. And for our returning listeners, we'd like to welcome you back as well. Before we delve into this topic related to privacy, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we will be right back. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Well, hello again, and as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be dealing with privacy on the Amazon Echo. That's right. And we covered this all the way back in episode 62, and the fundamentals mentioned back then are good, and but some of the controls and things have changed since then, so it's good that we're readdressing the topic today, and of course those practical things. What is recorded? What is not recorded? What is exactly happening? How does the equipment and stuff like that work? Now, as recently covered in recent media events, there was a media outlet company here in the United States that in particular supposedly was claiming at one point in some of their, sales materials that they could listen via many different devices to what was going on and use that to sell advertising to people. And so this topic has come up people are like scratching their heads. They're like, what's going on? Is that true? How would I know? Blah, blah, blah. So these topics come up. And with so many scams and people's PPI, personal identifiable information out, or did I say two P's or PII? Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I screwed up the acronym. But anyway, so that makes people wonder. Now, just to give you some context from a technology standpoint, I hold 3 certifications in computer maintenance, networking, and IT security. So it's A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus. And so I do have a background with this, and I do routinely keep up with the media about what's going on. I mean, the actual technical media, not just the general purpose media, just the actual tech press that knows how this stuff works, and really a breakdown about this. So let's just cover a big high level issue with the Amazon Echo, and about really this applies to pretty much any type of virtual assistant that you would engage with verbally. So that could be Siri on Apple products. It could be the Google Nest or Google Assistant on Android, or separate appliances like the Google Nest. Back in the day with Cortana and things like that, we even applied. So that in all this arena, these type of situations would apply. So what they do, and the Echo is, we'll use as the core example, since this is the Echo Tips podcast, listens for its wake word. That's all it does. A little processor on board can't do much of nothing except for that. It listens for the wake word. Now, the wake word is her name, Alexa, right? Or you could change it to computer or Amazon or Ziggy. We have different options, but most people use Alexa, right? The A-lady name. Once it hears that, it takes that buffer of recording right there, and it sends it up to the cloud, to the mothership, to get it processed. Dave's asking about the weather, or Dave's asking about his calendar, or whatever, right? And then it returns the information, or does the action that I specifically asked it to do. Maybe it's a home automation thing or whatever. So, and this is easily delineated and established by privacy experts and security experts who are on the same network. There's very simple tools where you can look at the data that's flowing out of the Echo as it goes across the Wi-Fi into your internet cable modem and out to the internet. Very clear. And it's almost like seeing a snake swallow, a giant zebra or something, right? It's very clear that now that snake swallowed something because there's a big ball, right? I may not know what it is, but it swallowed something, and it's, so the same thing with our data line. There's a finite amount of communication there. The Echo's just sitting there, maybe with a tiny little trickle of information coming out, very little going back to Amazon or back and forth, maybe just to keep in touch. But then you give it a verbal command, and boom, that's when you see the giant knot in the snake, right? It swallowed something, and it's going up to the cloud. So it's very easily to delineate that using network monitoring software, and is the cornerstone for establishing that this is the way these devices work. And really, from a practical standpoint, that's the way they would have to work. Financially, if everything is being recorded and everything is being sent somewhere else, that's a tremendous amount of information, especially across thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of households. That is a tremendous amount of expense and data. And today, we live in a day and time where a cell phone has unlimited often minutes, right? Or even a landline VoIP service has an unlimited amount of minutes. But it wasn't long ago. It was, 10 cents a minute. I remember when I was a kid growing up, there is still a cost to voice data transmissions, and that's why you pay your cell phone company money, right, every month. So there is a cost. And so these Echoes, $50 a pop for an Echo Dot or whatever. No. They're already a loss leader for Amazon. They can't absorb all. Not to mention it would be impractical probably to be processing that much audio information, So anyway, so it's totally impractical, and it's clearly delineated. These are the ways they work. Now, that having been said, that doesn't mean that there may be still some privacy things you want to be aware of. Okay, what's happening with the recordings? Can I purge the recordings? All these kind of questions or other things connected with the Amazon Echo. Well, to your advantage, you have complete control as a user. And this is what you would need to do. Open up the app on your smartphone or tablet. That is the A-Lady app. And I'm just going to start saying the actual name. If you have an Echo in hearing distance of me, I am going to be doing a demo in just a second here to show you the verbal commands. But you may want to shut ears off of Echoes in hearing distance of me. So, give you a second. Hopefully everybody got it. You can always pause the podcast and come back, by the way. Okay, so you open up the Alexa app on your, let's say, phone. Button in the bottom right is the More button. Tap on that. That will slide out a menu, and about halfway to 2/3 the way down the page, you'll see a button that says Settings. Now, there is right below that also another button called Activity. That's pretty good handy too. A quick way to just tap on that, and it will show you some of the most recent commands that she had processed and your verbal things. And you can even purge some of those recordings right then and there under Activity. But if you want to see everything connected, all the privacy related kind of information connected with your Amazon Echo, you really want to go to Settings. And on that next menu page, you're going to scroll down to Alexa Privacy. Tap on Alexa Privacy, and boom shakalaka, you're going to find everything you would want on that page, including private voice recordings section, purging options, purge today, purge this, purge that. Now, in the old days, you used to be able to say, you got that voice command wrong. I asked about the weather and not about, I don't know, leather or something. And you could thumbs up or thumbs down. But I don't know if that's still in there now, but you can definitely go in there and purge that stuff. Now, other things that are on there that you may not have thought of is related to other features of the Amazon Echo. Some you may use, some you may not. But for example, security features where you could turn on the Amazon Echo where it listens for breaking glass or a smoke detector or fire alarm going off at your house. See, those things it could listen for those things too, and then record a snippet and send it to you, which I've had to do when I've been at work. Oh, I see the fire alarms going off at the house or something like that. It'll play a little recording snippet of that segment that it caught. And so you can go into that under privacy settings and purge those or look at them or whatever you want to do on a case-by-case basis or the like. There's other things in that same privacy settings thing, maybe connected with home automation and other things. I don't know exactly what those could all be. Maybe some sort of sensor at your front door that triggers your Echo to say, hey, welcome home, or something like that. Other home automation things, you can go in there and you can purge that information as well. Now, lastly, the simplest thing you can do is just purge it verbally if you really wanted to, especially when it's connected to voice recordings. So let's give you an example here. Let me turn the ears back on my Echo. And let's just imagine that I don't know, I had something I said that I wanted to purge or whatever, or, I just want to clear it out. I could say, Alexa, how deep should I bury a body in the ground?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, traditionally, a body is buried 6 feet underground.
There you go. So let's say, I'm just giving you guys some outrageous ideas. For some reason, I want to purge something I just said. I can just say, Alexa, delete what I said. Alexa, delete what I said.
Okay, I'll delete any recordings from the last 10 minutes.
Okay, so it was that simple. You just wiped it out. Now imagine I wanted to clear the whole day. I could say, Alexa, delete everything I've said today.
You'd like to delete the recordings of everything said to me today, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll delete them.
Okay, so it's that simple verbal commands. Okay, so that basically wraps that up. And And you may be curious about, okay, these media companies or these kind of supposed news stories that come out about, listening or something like that. In this particular context, I listened to the Twit Network, the Security Now podcaster, Steve Gibson, and the like. And it's just predominantly felt in these particular circumstances, these companies were trying to oversell. They may have had access to certain verbal recordings, but obviously not from Amazon or Google or Apple Siri. It's just not possible. And so they were selling something else, or they were making a lot of stuff up. But the point is, now we understand clearly how this works. And if you are curious about what's being recorded, you can clearly go in there and see, and you can purge it both on the app and verbally. So hopefully that will give you a little more context. If you're talking to family members who've had these concerns about how this equipment works in the past, you can highlight this and highlight the practical uses of them going forward. Well, that'll bring this episode to a close. If you'd like to reach out to me with any thoughts or suggestions, you can do so on Facebook or Twitter, now known as X, at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys. Or you can always drop us an old-fashioned email at info@goodwillvalleys.com. I would just say in either case, just earmark it that you're trying to reach the Echo Tips podcast host, Dave Ward, and it will find its way to me. Until next time, it's time to turn the ears back on your Echo, start practicing some of the many things you've learned. I'm David Ward for the New Vision program, and we do thank you for listening.
Thanks, Dave. Let me tell you a bit more. Let me put on my official sounding voice. Ahem. Ahem. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Phew. Thanks for listening.